Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new action comedy, The Pickup. And this is from director Tim Story and writers Kevin Burrows and Matt Mitter, and stars Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson as an odd couple duo who drive an armored car, and they are under siege by criminals led by Keke Palmer, and they need to try to get out of the situation. And Tim Story is a very interesting director because, to be frank, I feel like outside of Barbershop and The Blackening, most of his films are very middling or forgettable and just serviceable and passable. And he doesn't really have a very distinct visual expression as a director or even just a very distinct directorial voice. It's very workmanlike. And that's very apparent watching The Pickup. All the action is overly saturated lit. It doesn't look interesting. Once it really starts leaning on CGI, it looks terrible. But it's alright. It's fine. It's not particularly interesting. It doesn't really grab the tension and suspense that you really should be getting out of a situation like this. It's not visceral. It just kind of feels like it's happening in front of you and the camera's catching it. And that's fine. It's watchable. And then tonally, this film has a lot of jokes. It's a funny movie. Anytime it's trying to really make this romance, this connection between Davidson and Palmer happen, it just feels so unenthusiastic and doesn't feel genuine. It's we don't care. And it gets a little, tried to get more intense, but it never really hits there. The pacing though, this is a 95-minute movie. It moves. It gets to places where it needs to in a good time. But there's just there's some tonal issues with the really bad guys involved. Jack Kesey and Ismael Cruz Cordova are just so bland and uninteresting. They waste Marshawn Lynch. They waste they have Roman Reigns in this movie for some reason and barely use him, which is so random. Story-wise, it hits a lot of beats that you really expect. There's nothing surprising here. It's kind of just going through the motions, and very few times does it really capture a real spark of emotion. There's a moment with Keke Palmer's character and a reference to her dad, or, the relationship between Eddie Murphy's Russell and his wife, played by Eva Longoria. It's there's some tender moments at the beginning of the film, but it's really the cast that makes this, and Eddie Murphy, for the most part, is a straight man. But when they keep pushing his buttons, he lets out a little bit of that Eddie Murphy, and those moments are fun and really engaging. He gets a good few laughs out of that, and he makes the most out of some dialogue that's not the strongest or the sharpest comedy, but he makes the most of it. Pete Davidson is really just being Pete Davidson, and it works. He has a fun dynamic with Eddie Murphy and their banter. Some of his humor just falls completely flat, though, and really the writing isn't the strongest, but Davidson, I think, makes the most out of it. Keke Palmer's just extremely charismatic, and her character could have been more interesting, but I feel her just presence makes it more interesting. And Eva Longoria is fun when she's on screen. She's charismatic as well. Andrew Dice Clay is their boss at this armored car place, and he has his moments too. But really, it has some good laughs. The action's really underwhelming. It's watchable. And that's the best that you can say. I wouldn't say this is a good movie, but, it's a watchable time, and it's kind of disposable, and that's the tricky thing. This is yet another action comedy coming out on Amazon, and some of them have really worked, and some of them have felt like this, where it's just it feels as disposable as I already pay for Prime, so I could just watch this whenever. But those are my thoughts on The Pickup. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you, as always, for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.